Fentanyl is a deadly drug that comes exclusively out of China. It doesn't come from anywhere else, including the fentanyl that comes across the Mexican border that also came from China. Now, one thing, it was bad enough having the opioid epidemic and a meth epidemic and heroin all going on at the same time in the country. Then fentanyl came over here from China by mail. They sell it on the dark web. And even the Chinese authorities, they have a very difficult time catching these people because they move around a lot. They never stay in the same location for long. And that's how they avoid getting caught. So it has been a very deadly drug, and most of the people that die from overdoses, fentanyl is usually involved. So, that being said, a former DEA agent on fentanyl, by far the worst drug I've ever seen. And he's definitely right about that. Although opioids have received significant attention over the last year, fentanyl, a synthetic opioid, is becoming a major player in the illicit drug market. No, it's been a big player, it's not becoming. So much so that the Pentagon and Department of Homeland Security reportedly considered classifying fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. You've got to remember it's 40 to 50 times stronger than the regular street drug heroin. Riley, former principal deputy advisor for the DEA, told Yahoo Finance, "This is by far the worst drug I've ever seen." Fentanyl is 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine. And according to the National Institute of Health, synthetic opioids, including fentanyl, are now the most common drugs involved in drug overdose deaths in the United States. In 2017, 59% of opioid related deaths involved fentanyl, a notable increase from the 14.3% in 2010. You have people who are addicted to prescription drugs, either from legitimate prescriptions or doctors prescribing, or they get it on the streets, or they steal it out of their grandmother's medicine cabinet. Riley said, "It's an opioid based addiction, and when prescription drugs become too expensive, it's hard to get. The next step, based off the opioid addiction, is to go down and use current day heroin." And that's usually what happens. Once the doctors refuse to write any more scripts for the person, they just go out there and get the street drug. The 2019 UN World Drug Report noted that North America is experiencing a rising number of overdose deaths resulting from the use of opioids. But I thought Trump said he got it under control. He got everything down. That's not what this article say. I'm just saying. There was a 13% increase in the number of deaths in 2017 from 2016, and largely attributed to synthetic opioids like fentanyl. Additionally, the number of new psychoactive substances that are synthetic opioids, mostly fentanyl analogs, reported on the market has been rising at an unprecedented rate. So have overdose rates. Yeah, you can see synthetic opioids other than methadone. So that is fentanyl. Wow. Okay. So this chart is from 1999 to 2017. Now the difference here is heroin of old was really confined to a smaller user group, but today's heroin is much higher proof. It's cheaper, and for a lot of people is snorted and smoked, much like cocaine, Riley explained. The old fear of AIDS or hepatitis because of a needle really has disappeared. And that attracted a whole different crew of users. We need to work with China. Yeah, y'all been saying that for years, and China keep giving you lip service, but they don't really do nothing. They really aren't doing anything to stop it. North America is the main market for fentanyl, according to the 2019 World Drug Report from UNODC. And the global market is growing, according to the report. While just 4 countries reported fentanyl seizures to UNODC in 2013, 12 countries did so in 2016, and 16 countries in 2017. One of the biggest sources of fentanyl making its way through the US is China. Exactly. And you know what, y'all? China is so heavily into shipping this stuff worldwide. And that's why I'm saying you can't tell me some of these Chinese people that are here in the US aren't involved in this. I don't believe they aren't. I bet you there are many of them heavily involved in making sure that fentanyl gets here. I just believe they are. I don't believe these Chinese people are innocent at all. Okay. According to the U.S. China Economic and Security Review Commission, USCC, China is the largest source of not only illicit fentanyl, but also fentanyl like substances in the U.S. You know what? China also bragged they can make a synthetic drug of anything. Anything that's out, any drug you name, they could literally make a synthetic version of it. The fact of the matter is that we need to work with China, and they are going to need help with a lot of resources in terms of monitoring the thousands of laboratories that are pushing that fentanyl and what have you, Virgil said. But you know what? China does not allow the U.S. to tell them what to do. Okay, I think Virgil here is fantasizing. They have not cooperated in all this time. All they said was they would try to stop some of the packages. China ain't doing nothing. You know why? China wants to poison these American people, y'all. China's trying to be a superpower on this earth. How do you do that? You eliminate your enemy. The enemy is the U.S. Okay, we really need to monitor these countries such as Germany, India, China in terms of movement of precursor chemicals into the hands of criminals and transnational organized crime networks that will use them to produce fentanyl and other synthetic opioids. Okay. Potent synthetic opioids pose a serious health concern for our citizens, Marino told Yahoo Finance. The risk is not to people who are in law enforcement or medical responders, it is only to people who are consuming drugs. Yeah, you're right about that. This is supported by medical research, the American College of Medical Toxicology, and the American Academy of Clinical Toxicology stated in December 2017. To date, we have not seen reports of emergency responders developing signs or symptoms consistent with opioid toxicity. You know, that's not true. I did some stories on police officers that came in contact with it and they overdosed. So, what they're saying here is definitely not true, and they are emergency responders as well. So, no, this is definitely not true. Okay. The idea that law enforcement and first responders might somehow overdose through skin or inhalation contact with someone who has used drugs has led to direct harm to people who truly overdose, who are not resuscitated appropriately, he said. I have seen my own patients suffer directly from these myths. There is no confirmed cases of passive exposure. Yes, there is. I mean, and I even showed a video of a cop that came in contact with fentanyl and he literally passed out. So no, this person don't know what they're talking about. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, please tell me what you think. I don't think they will ever stop the flow of fentanyl coming into the country. You know, I want you to think about this. If they can't stop the drugs, or they have failed to stop the drugs coming in from Mexico all of these decades, what makes you think they're going to stop the drugs from coming in from China? And Mexico was a much closer place to the U.S. If they were going to stop drugs from coming in here, you would think that would be the place where they would be able to stop it. So far, China has successfully been able to get these drugs into the country and keep a steady flow of it coming into the U.S. And they have not been able to do much of anything about it. So, ladies and gentlemen, please tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.